Hello, dear colleagues and interest party. I am glad to present to you our project number 172, Electron Beam 3D Technologies in Orthopedics. Our project manager and chef is Igor Khudetsky. And now, idea of project. Introduction of electronic beam technology for 3D printing technology of personalized elements of osteosynthesis implants and endoprosthesis in practical orthopedics. Offered first separately as a service for the manufacture of personalized implants from medical titanium. Second, installation and technology of electron beam 3D printing. And third, cluster reconstructive and restorative technologies of Ukraine. It is innovative to use the technology of manufacturing products from medical titanium by the method of 3D printing of parts of a complex spatial shape directly from the automated design system. It is based on the operation of layer-by-layer function of metal powder in a vacuum. Consumer segment. In the world, more than 6 million people enter clinics annually with extensive bone damage after road accidents, gunshot wounds, injuries, and extreme sports or at work. In Ukraine in peacetime, 15.9% of patients for orthopedic clinics undergoing surgery have open or gunshot fractures. As a rule, this is a healthy working contingent. A large number of patients are unable to work or become disabled for years as a result of injuries and complications. During the war in Ukraine, the number of such patients increased many times. The problem of patients with open fractures and gunshot wounds to bones with traditional treatment. First, the patient has a wound at various stages of the infectious process with a significant amount of non-viable tissue, which requires complex surgical treatment. Treatment lasts months. Second, there is always a special bone defect with standard sets of osteosynthesis elements. Next, long-term, from 1 to 3 years, treatment with repaired, reconstructive, and restorative surgical interventions. 4. Traditional processes take years to design and manufacture. 5. Complication, disability, desocialization. As a result of the incident, healthy, able-bodied people become socially dependent and require significant professional resources and financial expenses for their maintenance. The solution of the problem is the use of electron beam 3D technology in orthopedics. What does the decision consist of and the duration of the stage? Tomography, hours. 3D image, 3D printing of an elements of osteosynthesis in an implant and endoprothesis. 1 day era. And orthopedic technology is hours. The solution to the problem is the use of electron beam 3D technology in orthopedics. What does the discussion consist of and the duration of the stages? hour tomography, era or a day, 3D image, 3D printing for an element of osteosynthesis of an implant and endoprothesis, and orthopedic technology is ours. Our proposals for the use of electron beam 3D technology in orthopedics. What is 3D printing of personalized elements of osteosynthesis, implants, endoprothesis within the framework of traditional technologies of orthopedic care? 3D printing of personalized elements for osteosynthesis, implants, endoprothesis as one of the key elements of complex, innovative, reconstructive and restorative orthopedic technologies as part of the cluster reconstructive and restorative technologies of Ukraine. Cluster reconstruction reparating technologies of Ukraine human resources. Patton Electric Welding Institute is electrothermochirurgical equipment for gunshot wound surgery, sterile wound technology, bloodless surgical technology, electron beam 3D printing equipment and technology. Institute for Problem of Materialized Science, National Academy of Science in Ukraine is technologies for obtaining synthetic bone material. Igor Sikorsky Kyiv Polytechnic Institute is training for biomedical engineers, stem cell biotechnology. Ukrainian Military Medical Academy is development of clinical protocols, training of orthopedics and maxillofacial surgeons, and medical service of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine is development of clinical protocols by the consumer of technology. Functioning of the cluster reconstructive and restorative technologies of Ukraine. The technology of forming a sterile wound for reconstructive and restorative operations for gunshot wounds with large bone defects and open fractures includes the following surgical manipulations: stop bleeding from large vessels, parenchymal bleeding, and bleeding from spongy bones, removal of non-available tissue and bone fragment, disinfection of the wound connection of tissue. These manipulations are best carried out with a multifunctional infrared conversion device with the function of high-frequency cutting and welding of fabrics, welding of vessels of medium and large diameters, a universal device. Multifunctional thermosurgical device which the functions of high-frequency welding as convection infrared processing of tissue. Its apparature Patton MET provides up to 90% of typical surgical manipulations. In this slide we can see multifunctional infrared convection device BTA300D with the functions of a high-frequency coagulator. And another one is multifunctional electrothermochirurgical device AKBF 300. In this slide, we can see electrothermosurgical apparatus for military field surgery. It's more compactly and more comfortable to use it. Functioning of the cluster reconstructive and restorative technologies of Ukraine. Element second. Production of personalized element of osteosynthesis. We see in picture electron beam 3D printed. And in this slide we can see functioning of the cluster. Element number 3 is production of synthetic bone implants. Its element 4 we can see reparation of stem cell biomaterial to accelerate bioinformation of synthetic bone. We can see in picture cell isolation, cultivation of definition and cultivation on a synthetic bone implant. To element 5 is specialized cleaning and orthopedic techniques. And element 6 is personal training system. Market volume. Ukrainian elements of osteosynthesis implants and endoprothesis were at post-war period 20,000 to 60,000 pieces. Peacetime 2,000 to 6,000 pieces. Global market growth of 10% per year. Competitors, direct competition with large multinational companies. Our advantages: reduction of the cost of providing orthopedic service by 30 to 50% for state medical institutions. Reduction of health care costs. Retention of employers, combat capacity, resource owner. Improving the quality of orthopedic care. Profitability for private medical structures. Current situation. All types of equipment and technologies have been developed. Current status. Most of the constructive solutions and orthopedic methods are protected by Ukrainian patents and know-how belonging the team members. Financing of development and scientific research is carried out at the expense of state funding and own funds. There are preliminary agreements to preserve the interest of the organization on the basis of which and a large extent whose expense the previous studies were carried out. The technology of implementation in orthopedic practice has been established. Personnel training system, orthopedics and biomedical engineering. Marketing. Formation of the need of personalized element of osteosynthesis, implants, endoprothesis among orthopedics and request for services from patients by creating an information field about the advantages of the technology. Creation and regulation of commercial relations through the community of orthopedists. Workshop and demonstrations from the manufacturer. Support for researchers and developers of technology use methods. The plan from informing medical institution by a special contact and sales representative of the company. Participation in specialized exhibitions and conference. Investor offer. More than 7 million hryvnia have already been invested in the project, including 2 million of own funds and 2 million of state funds. Investment the required 5 million Ukrainian hryvnia for this project. 8 million of the reconstructive and restorative technologies of Ukrainian cluster, the project team offers the investor. Part of the profit from production, the author's support for the creation of reconstructive and restorative surgery clinics by the investor, and consideration of counter proposals of the investor. I can pleasure to present for you project team, developers of advanced electron beam 3D technology is Vladislav Matvichuk and Volodymyr Nesterenko. Project manager and chef Professor Igor Khudetsky. Yulia Antonova-Rafi is marketing and finance. Bogdan Matvichuk is orthopedic technologies, and John Winji processing of products. Thank you for your time and your attention.